Hello, doers. My name is Jose Ignacio, and today we're going to talk about how we can make restocking your inventory simple with suggested quantities on purchase orders. Let me set the stage for you. You run a custom furniture service for ninjas, much like Stealthy would. Business is booming, and your inventory is now depleted after a busy shopping season, much like Christmas. Children love receiving furniture for Christmas. Now, you could go through your sales history and calculate your inventory resupply and do those manually, but you're a busy children's custom furniture manufacturer. Instead of doing it yourself, let Odoo examine how your inventory changes and suggest restocking quantities for you. Here, I'm going to show you how it's done in a database. So first things first, we're going to need both our purchase application over here as well as inventory apps installed for Odoo to suggest replenishment quantities to us. The purchase app over here lets us make orders from vendors, and the inventory application lets us track and manage our inventory, as well as doing a bunch of other stuff that we don't need to get into now. So if you don't have these two apps installed over here, just open up the apps app over here and search for purchase and inventory and install those two apps, and you're going to be golden. Perfect. So a quick note before we open up the purchase application over here. The suggested quantities feature relies on your sales and inventory history. It's not meant to offer suggestions on how much stock you should carry if your business is completely new. That means you're going to need a few things configured in your database for the suggested quantities feature to work. So obviously you're going to need product records in your database to replenish your products. So let's open up our sales application over here, and we're going to click products in the header and then once again products in the dropdown. I'm going to show you an example of proper configuration. We're going to use acoustic block screens right here. So the products you want to use with this feature need to be configured for replenishments. That means setting their product type over here to goods and tracking over here by quantity. Now we're going to open up the purchase tab right there. And you're also going to need vendor records in your database. We can't buy replenishments if we don't have someone to buy them from. Finally, you're going to need at least one validated delivery order for the product. The system uses that data to project future replenishment needs. Okay, once you've got everything set up, let's get those suggestions. First, navigate on over back to your homepage and then go over to the purchase application. So once we're there, we need a request for quotation. Either a new one or an existing one will do. I'm going to click new in the top left over here to create one. So first we have to set the vendor. Stealthywood is running low on angular lumber-based products, so I'm going to pick wood corner. Perfect, as our vendor. So to keep things simple and let the system help us out as much as possible, I'm going to add products through the catalog, which will automatically filter for products from our chosen vendor and make the suggestion process much simpler. So we're actually going to give the catalog a click right there. All right, so here you can see every product that's associated with wood corner. There are a lot of them. It's actually quite a lot. All right, some of these we have tons of, some we use at a pretty slow rate, some are already on order, and some we're forecasted to need soon. It's a lot to track of manually, but fortunately we don't have to. So go ahead and give the suggest toggle a very quick, nice little toggle, as it's named. All right, so once you've clicked that, a couple things are going to happen. First, in this case, the products displayed in the catalog are going to be filtered to match the suggest criteria. Second, under the suggest toggle, you notice these nice little suggest criteria happen to appear. So you can edit them to filter for the exact products that you're looking for. Dang, the product catalog sure looks different now. What happened? Well, the answer is these three fields in the suggest criteria and these nice ones that we happen to have over for replenish for have changed a few different things. So the first one that we have is replenish for X days. We also have based on, and in this case, it says last 30 days and the percentage. They determine the suggestions the system makes. Replenish for whatever amount of days up here determines how far ahead the system should buy replenishments for. 30 days, a whole quarter, a whole year. The choice is yours. This happens to max out at 999 days. Plenty of time to prepare for the future of your business. Based on down here sets, in this case, the date range of sales and inventory history that the system should use for its suggestions. You can choose specific ranges automatically suggested by the system or general ranges like the last 30 days, 3 months, this month, last year, and more. You can also choose to replenish based just on inventory changes forecasted by the system. So, what about the percentage? Well, the percentage determines what percentage of our sales we use for predictions. Want to use half? Set this over here to 50. Want to use all your sales? Set it to 100. Standard number stuff. You know how numbers are. So, by default, Odoo suggests replenishments for the next 7 days based on our last 30 days of inventory changes. The only product we're really missing to meet the expected demand for the next week is, well, table legs. You can never have enough table legs. But I'm a big picture kind of guy. I think in quarters, not weeks and months. Watch what happens when I set the replenishment date for 120 days. So we're going to replenish for 120 days, as I just said. And based on, we're still going to do our last 30 days. And would you look at that immediately? Boom, new suggestions. One thing to note here, you can get some weird results depending on your replenish for and based combinations. Say you run a toy store, and on January 1st, you tell the system to suggest replenishments for the next year based on the past 30 days. You probably sold a lot of toys in December, and the system will project that level of demand going forward for the rest of the year. So you could easily wind up with suggestions for more inventory than you actually need. Fortunately, it's easy to experiment with the suggestions. Nothing gets added to the RFQ until you click the Add All button. So let's do that. Clicking Adding All. So now all of the suggested items are now highlighted in this nice color over here, but nothing else has changed on the page. But if we click the handy dandy back to quotation button at the top here, we're going to see that each of the suggested items has been added to our quotation. All we need to do now to get things moving is simply select our Send RFQ button. How simple. As you can see, the suggested quantities feature is a great time saver. It takes the history of what you're already doing, selling products, and buying from vendors and uses that info to automate your replenishment process, saving you time and energy. Until next time, Odooers, you keep suggesting topics for videos, and I'll keep replenishing our and your YouTube feeds. I love you. Go eat a snack. I don't have any.